So what we're making here is, for all intents and purposes, an incredibly sophisticated haunted house. We're using technology and art and storytelling and interactivity to scare the hell out of you.
I definitely think playing a computer game do immerse you into the world in a more effective way than, let's say, a movie can do.
In a video game, we don't know where the camera is going to be. So we have to write technology, or we have to set up the scene perfectly to make sure that you see at least 80% of our scares.
Come on! Come on! Let me out!
I do think we are absolutely genetically predisposed to be afraid. It's absolutely programmed in here.
About a third of your brain is dedicated to trying to recognize the things in the world around you. Your pathways are very fast, so if there is an unknown danger out there, you want to detect it immediately.
I mean, everybody's afraid of the dark, I think, especially when you got a bunch of aliens trying to kill you.
In Deadspace, you know, it's all about really immersing you into the experience. And to do that and to truly scare somebody, you need to have excellent pacing.
You have to build the suspense. If you come out too fast, too strong in the beginning, you've got nowhere to go.
As soon as you do a boo moment, people will jump once, and like by the third time, they're not even jumping. So you've got to find a way to make people much more scary systematically and over 20 hours.
A game is more like a symphony. You have acts. You have to sort of have tension and release, and then rhythm, and then more tension, and then it sort of ends up in a much more layered up and down experience that gradually has its own arc over time.
If you build up to something really well and then you hold back, I think what you end up doing is you end up building an anticipation for it.
Well, the entire game, it's all about, you know, the same way that it was back in 80s movies, not what's in front of you, but what could be in front of you.
The vulnerability comes from that fear of the unknown.
Some of our biggest scares are like the most minor stimulus ever, but it happens at an unexpected time or in an unexpected way.
It's that moment where you see that shadow on the wall, or you see that thing around the corner, you see something dart off the corner of your eye, and you're like, what's out there, and when's it gonna get me?
It's all about a millisecond cut in timing, and as you walk around a corner, what do you see, and what are the lights doing, and what's the pacing of everything?
Having something roll around the corner, just out of the corner of your eye, something happens behind you and you just hear it, but by the turnaround, it's gone, or just a shadow that flickers across the camera. All these little things we do to really heighten the tension, just constantly keep you off guard.
I think that makes for a better scare, and the build-up and the timing and the momentum of the story than just, you know, blood squirting out everywhere.
The game is pretty intense psychologically because for almost the entire game you're alone with these creatures roaming around who only have one purpose, which is to kill you.
Where Deadspace, I think, pays off is that we paid real attention to biology. There's one creature in the game that can fly, and its wings are legs bent backwards, and then the skin from the chest sort of grows over and around to the thing, and the rib cage comes out.
You know, there's a twitch or a walk, and it's like, hey, that looks human, and it's not. And that's extremely frightening. Like, the closer it is to being human, and the less it acts human, people get freaked out by that. It's really eerie.
They also know that you have weapons. So all of a sudden you see one go into a grate. You know what the heck happened here? What he's doing is trying to find a grate that's close to you. So he's protecting himself, but he's trying to get as close as possible to you. You know, having this kind of artificial intelligence where they could jump out at you from different places means that in many cases you're going to be scared differently than the next guy.
In a horror movie, the director says, this is what you're looking at, and I'm not going to show you the scary thing until I'm ready for you to see it. In Deadspace, everything is happening in real time. So we do have line of sight triggers, we have motion triggers, we have markers in the environment that know when Isaac has crossed a certain threshold, and then this scare moment or this scripted event can happen.
We actually did these things called fear emitters, in which we had to create a technology that, kind of amped up the fear here and there.
In other words, systems that would kind of run themselves, like the enemies would have these fear emitters on them that would create music depending on how close the enemy was to you.
When you kill a creature and they're crawling at you, they're getting closer and closer and closer, they have a fear emitter on them, and we can set that fear emitter to, we can set the radius, how far it broadcasts, and the amount, how scary that creature is.
Acoustic plays a big part in affecting our mood. Using it correctly, it is a very powerful and manipulative medium.
You'll hear all these little audio cues. You'll hear like something in front of you definitely know is there, but because there's so many open doors on the spaceship, something starts to creep up behind you.
I hear a noise and I've got no idea.
When he steps outside without the atmosphere, there's no sound.
No sound is scary as hell.
It doesn't have to be complete silence, just a feeling of calm. Everything's okay, and then BAM! Right?
There are a lot of ways in which Dead Space uses psychology to scare you. The lighting and the use of music are really key.
There are a lot of subtle things that we do in Dead Space, and most of the time they are meant to support that sense of unease or to add to the tension. For example, a lot of the lights that we use are modeled after dentist lights.
When you're under that dentist light, everything else goes dark, right? You can't really see because you're so blinded by it. So you don't know what kind of tool is he getting around the corner there, right?
With the audio and the, visuals and the shadows, it's like that complete feeling of like, I don't know what's going to be around this corner.
When we're afraid, we feel more alive. And then we survive it. The game didn't kill us after all.